My name is Eraina Ferguson, and I want to talk a little bit about my story. I want to share a little bit about, who I am and what was my focus with Bubble.io. I cannot wait because I was in the waiting room and I'm focusing on the next. I cannot wait to play back the previous presenter's presentation as she talked about her amazing platform. And there are so many no code, low code presentations out there. So I look forward to walking you through those. So first, before I even share my screen, I definitely don't have a ton of slides, but I'm excited to just tell you a little bit more about my story. So my name is Eraina Ferguson, and I actually am the marketing and communications manager for Udacity, and which is, again, a ed tech platform, which you can learn anything from being a front-end developer or a UX designer or a data analyst in data science. So a ton of courses and a ton of enterprise courses as well for companies to upskill them. Well, my path into tech was not really your traditional path. And so I'm going to take a couple minutes to just breathe into the presentation and let you know a little bit more about me so that you can understand why I enjoy the no code, low code aspect of tech. So I was a single mom at 20, and I raised my special needs daughter on my own for 12 years while completing 3 academic degrees, including one from Yale. So I had 2 master's degrees, and somehow at a hackathon in 2010, I fell in love with tech. But it wasn't until 2020 that I really had the opportunity to gain an actual full-time 6-figure role in tech. But doing a no-code application was a part of that. So when I was pregnant with my 3rd child, as our amazing presenters was saying before, that I had the opportunity to do a apps without code challenge. It was like a 3-day challenge. And because I was trying to learn how to code, but it just wasn't going well. It wasn't so seamless as it was for me to be a content writer or for me to design template websites. But I actually built via Bubble.io an app without code and was able to, and it was on the Tinder framework. So we're going to go through the Bubble.io website and just kind of click and play around with some of the features and functions, just so you're comfortable with it as an option. It doesn't have to be your only option. There are other no-code options out there. So I built this 3-day app. This went through the 3-day challenge. I built this app without code, and I had the opportunity to actually enter a whole reality show, and I made it to the 2nd round based off this little Tinder framework app. And basically, it was an opportunity for job seekers to swipe left or swipe right, depending on if they wanted a job or not. And though it felt like a lot of work, the workflow piece, some of the functionalities that you would definitely have to dive deeper into are on there. But I felt like it was a great option. So I'm going to share my screen and go ahead and walk you through just a few of the functions. So can I get a 1 in the comments if you can see my screen? I actually rather keep it on this because I can be able to see. I want to see that. So yeah, let's see the comments. Yeah, so can I get a 1 in the comments if you can see my screen? I want to make sure. Okay, I'm assuming you can, right? Yeah. Okay, just making sure you guys can actually see it, but I think it's hitting there. So yeah, I want to make sure that everyone's able to see my presentation. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So basically, this is I'm going to be able to walk you through like bubble.io, but I basically want to talk a little bit about what bubble.io is. So it's a no-code app, and it's a development framework, of course, and it lets you design, develop, host, and scale applications without writing any code. So I love that piece of it because I feel like it's going to really like help you be able to play around with the different functions and not feel like stressed about, having to put out something that you may or may not understand. If I'm honest, I like it because I have a UX design nano degree, and I actually have the opportunity to build some, really great things and just like do design sprints with it. But I also like it because it allows you to like, even in terms of like your own startup or projects that you're working on or design sprints or ideas, you may come up with like a laundry, a laundry idea for a business. And you want to just kind of play around with some of the functionalities to see what it would look like. It actually feels like similar to what a website, application would be, like a Wix or something that would help you be able to build that more strategically. So what you're going to do with bubble.io is that you're going to go in and eventually you're going to get to this screen. And this screen is actually going to like be after you sign up and do all the sign up stuff. So your home section has 3 sections. And in that section, you're able to actually do the apps, my plugins, and my templates. So before I walk you through that, I just want to kind of scroll down to this part of the site. I feel like it's really helpful to be able to, plug into some of the features on any website. This is not a section that we normally go to when we're dealing with websites, right? Sometimes it's very tempting to just like try to get right to it. But a lot of what you need is going to be in this section. So you can even go through and say, okay, I want to check out the blog section and I want to learn a little bit more about bubble.io. So I know, again, we all know how to use websites, but if I'm honest, being at a company that's an ed tech company, you'd be surprised the level of learning that happens from you just studying the site itself. What does it have to offer? Do I just go build right away? Or how do I like go through the functionalities of what this site actually offers? And the reason that I say that is that as a designer, entrepreneur, anyone in the tech realm, what you're doing is kind of helping yourself walk through the user experience of what you would create for your clients or what you would create for your own website. So again, and maybe I'm biased because I write the blog for Udacity, but I feel like a lot of your answers are in the blog. So here, you come here, they tell you in this particular blog exactly different lessons on how to build what you want. So again, you can go through this and learn how to build an Instagram clone with no code, how to build a LinkedIn learning code with no code, right? So that's what happened with me with the Tinder framework. I literally have never been on Tinder in my life, but I was able to use the framework to actually build. So again, like say you want to come up with, your own version of, a loan or a financing app, but you want to do it with no code. You can learn to build with this. So I'm going to take a moment. I know we have some questions at the end, but before I share screen again, I want to take a moment to hear in the comments if you had the opportunity to build a no-code app. And you don't have to give out your whole idea because I know people are always worried about someone taking their stuff, which actually rarely happens. But if you were thinking of like something in your everyday life that you have an idea for an app, what would it be? So I want to hear in the comments some of the ideas you have about what would you want to build. I love to hear from people like what they would want to build. Oh, that's cool. Cool. A clone, a wording clone. Okay, that's cool. Anyone else? Who else would want to build something like really fun? I personally would want to build an app that does help me schedule for my laundry pickup. I know it's kind of random, but I feel like I would want to build that. Okay, so I'll keep going. Just want to make sure that I have plenty of ample time for that. Okay, let's get back to it. So I did want to stop and just see what other people wanted to build. So again, this bubble.io has the opportunity to do that. So again, if you're thinking about something that's along these lines, you can do just that. That's the blog. That's that awesome feature. So we're going to head back into the main page. And again, you'd be surprised at all of the different options. So when we do go into building our new app really soon, and again, we're just going to go in there and play around with some of the functions and to be able to walk you through it and preview the app, we have options in a marketplace. So I've already set up a marketplace for a couple of different types of apps. But again, I want us to just really get into the comfortable with the actual bubble.io website. So we're not afraid to click and we're not afraid to drag or fill out or read or learn about different things. So we're going to go into the marketplace. So the marketplace is a place where you can find different types of templates, right? So you can have a landing page, of course, and of course, here are all your plugins that are great. So you can, when you're ready to actually do plugins. But for now, you have the option to be able to just go through and see all of the different templates that you can do. So for me, I have in the marketplace for me a social option and just a general marketplace option. But let's just click on social to see the different type of social sites. So social networking template. Okay, so let's go through and preview the social networking template. So this is how this one would look as a user, So you can log in as a demo user and you can decide, okay, this is the type of thing I would or wouldn't want to build. But you don't have to build it from scratch and you don't have to know all the coding for each piece, right? So again, this is a live map, app where you can look at how the live maps perform. So yeah, so that's not on there yet, but basically you can have different options for it. So again, the marketplace is a place, and I'm walking you through this because when I do click on the create a new app on my back end, I'll be able to pull up two different options. So you can add your plugins, and here are my apps. So I'm going to go to click on create a new app. So we can name this app a lot of things. So because I said laundry, let's just make it like the lawn app, okay? I don't think we can have too many, and I think we have to actually have, it has to be lowercase letters, so it can't be uppercase letters. So we're going to use the easy marketplace shop version. You can put details about your app here, and I can also say what kind of app I'm building. So maybe it's to find different laundromats in the area, right? Is it customer facing or internal? It'll be external, customer facing. What's the goal of the app? To test out a business idea. Okay, and then you're going to click on create a new app. Okay, awesome. So here is where, again, I love the features of bubble.io. It's so different than it was really 6 years ago. Honestly, when I first came into it, it allows you so many options to be able to learn as you go. So in the new application assistant, it talks about the option to get started so it can teach you what you're doing. So let's, for the heck of it, just click on the let's get started tab. So of course we call it lawn for laundromat app, but yes, we want it in English. Okay, we have our next step. We can keep that the same. We're not going to install a plugin just yet. And then we can just go to the last step. We're not going to do API connector. So we don't need the tour. Or maybe we can take the tour just for us. So this is like the tour of the whole shebang. And again, all of these are, I'll run through these, but we're going to basically change a little bit of what's in here and play around with it. And then we're just going to preview our app. So I want to make sure that everyone is feeling great about what their options are. And like I said, look forward to opening it up for questions too. So if we start the tour, let's start the tour. So there are different tabs. Building an application relies on 6 different concepts and areas in the editor. The different tabs are there. First, the design tab is where you design your interface. You can simply drag and drop the elements on the page and do exactly what you would draw someone in PowerPoint slides. So that's pretty cool. The different tabs. Second, this workflow tab is where you program your application. Describe exactly what it does. So the workflow tab is cool because you're able to drag and drop your workflow once you decide on that. And again, the challenge is, and I will have this in the GitHub piece, but is that there to me, and maybe this is the UX designer in me, you don't just jump in and create an app with no code or with code. You really want to know your purpose and why you're doing it. And you want to kind of like think through the process of what the end game is going to be. And so I think this is part of the lean startup model, or why you're thinking of, why am I really creating it? What will it do? So what's challenging for me sometimes is to think about, like, even when you go to build a website from a template, you want to kind of first walk through the process of why you're doing it, because how can you know the workflow if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish with the app? So again, we've talked to a couple things already, just as this being a hypothetical app. If this was a laundry app and it was a marketplace app, then I want to be able to choose the laundromats that I'm going to, or that I'm going to drop off and pick up my clothes. So then that's the workflow that would be in it, right? So I would need to do the certain button. So we'll click on and at least see the workflow portion, but I want to kind of come back to the whys of things, because I think sometimes it's so easy to just jump into it, but what are you building if you haven't kind of built the system for it? So maybe at the end we can talk through that, and we can talk through some hypotheticals on what we would need with the laundromat app and what that would look like. Again, I think that's an important piece. So, but in that second section, you are going to be able to create your workflow. The next section is the data tab. This is where you define the data structure of your app and see and modify your application data. Again, what data are you trying to collect? What are you collecting from the user? What parameters have you put in place to safeguard it? Again, when you're first kind of playing with this, it's great to just go through and just learn it all, but it would be awesome to have a end objective in mind for your app and how you want to use it. But for us, it's the laundromat app. The fourth, the style tab, is where you define some general styles for your elements to make the addition of your app faster. You can also apply a theme for your app here. So that's kind of cool because it allows you to create a style to it. So maybe this laundromat app would be sleeker and faster if you had certain elements. But for now, as a marketplace app, it might not need to be so fast because you can just make your choices. The plugins tab is where you can install new plugins to add different elements on the page or connect with external APIs. So again, you can plug in, we already saw from the plugin section that you can plug in like looks like at least 10 to 12 different plugin options, which is great. But again, what's the purpose of your app? What are you trying to accomplish? Who is the user of the app? So many questions to answer. And the settings app is where you can modify the app subscription, how your app looks like on the web, what it looks like on the web when you're launching it, and change, some various general settings. So again, you have your app in mind, who's going to use it, and how the settings would be interfaced. So double clicking the page elements reveals the property editor. This is where you can change what the elements look like. So again, this is its own thing. You can change the color, you can change the scope. You have like so many different things in that. So as we click through in a few minutes, you'll be able to see how you can be able to like upgrade your app, even change the width and the size of things. You can, for instance, change the title of this page. So again, this is what this page looks like now, but we'll also be able to click directly into it, and we'll also be able to change different features when we click on it. Again, just like your kind of old school site editor, the click and drag option, or change the style to another pre-built style, which is kind of cool. I like that portion. So maybe we'll do that as well. Just change, and we'll be able to change out these pictures and photos, add different words and different hypotheticals too. Elements can be displayed differently under the certain circumstances. For instance, you can only show some when the user is logged in. So some conditional aspects of it. Transitions, conditional, appearance. The other thing I like about no code options, for someone who's like completely new to tech or different aspects of tech, it gives you an option to kind of test out and use different language that may be used in a meeting as you're negotiating your strategy for, your no code, or as you're trying to convince, investors to invest in your products. It gives you a way to even teach some of the language behind the UI and UX. So the drawing elements. To insert a new element, click on the icon in the element palette and draw it on your page. So you can draw it, you can make it bigger or smaller. The buttons and lines pop up, the inputs. It's really cool. Bubble lets you build responsive pages. It starts with fixed width, but once you set it to be responsive, you can click here to see how your pages behave with different screens and widths. Again, the other good part about Bubble, and again, you learned this earlier in the previous presentation with the no code option, is that you can test it out and have your users to test it and give the option of what they like and what they don't like. So a part of UX that I love, and again, bias, I guess a developer can say something different. And I look forward to weighing in and hearing more from the audience on what you think. But another option that I think is pretty cool is that you have the opportunity to really, as you know, with UX design, it's about your users, and it's about how they're able to really engage in the website. So that's why I even took you through this website at the very beginning, because the things that I want to go to and I go to first are something like at the bottom. There's a reason why, from a UX UI perspective, that all of the listings on the desktop are at the bottom, and the blog, all of that information. That's where people would rather go, right? So when you have responsive pages that externally, like when you say preview, or let's say you want to test it and you're done with it, you can actually give it to users, test it out, get their feedback. After you get their feedback, you're able to implement it and change it up and keep giving it back to them until they like almost love it. And then you can sell it and put it on the marketplace. There are people making a lot of money with creating a no-code, low-code app, having basic functionality, having a decent design and simplicity, and they're able to then charge, let's say you have a creator who has like 4,000 followers. They're able to charge $20 to each follower of those maybe like 1/3 are actual like purchasers of the app. So a little less than 2,000 or about 1,500. So basically, they are able to sell subscription services to these users because they've created a product that they want. No longer do you have to develop the next Facebook or Meta or Google or any other like unicorn app. You're actually able to take a functionality and be able to sell it to an audience who's already ready and engaged of it. So you're going to hear me talk about a lot of the business aspect of it too, because I think there are so many great things. And that's why walking through the site, again, is like super important. So again, more plugins, more plugins, more plugins. So here are the workflows. So you get to so again, like we can run through these, we can preview them. You can check out now. You have the heart option. Parent groups are like the most common functionality that like is like the first set of group that you're connecting with. You'll see a lot of language that developers use when they're developing their products. So all these things will be in your workflow too. So again, it continues to trigger a second event. When this happens, this happens. And again, the cool thing about bubble.io, it walks you through all of the video options for it. So it's not confusing and overwhelming. I feel like you guys have gotten a lot of information. So I'm excited to, really have you just kind of test this out. We're not going to test out a ton of workflows today, but we definitely are going to be able to just like at least click through this, play around with some of the icons and be able to preview our app, perhaps change some color and just, be able to at least have something basic. So the application menu is where you navigate across different pages and create some new ones. So again, you might want, this is the first page clearly, but you have to edit each and different page. But again, I can't stress enough. You want to be clear on the why, the how, and make sure you're not going down a rabbit hole trying to create the app without having the reason why and kind of understanding the parts. So of course, this is the help menu that'll offer you plenty of help. Use buttons and undo and redo when you've done something that you didn't want. The editor tips. Your app has two versions, one for the development and one for the production that your users interact with. You can manage this with the version drop down, which is really cool. Click preview and see your application instantly. It's already live. This app is yours. You can design it as you want. We pre-inserted some elements, but feel free to change everything or do a Control-A to delete them all. That can be super scary, but I believe that there are probably some people who really, really want to start completely from scratch. So we're going to go in now and play around with some of these elements and just do some changes for our lawn app. We can call it laundry perhaps. So because we're in here already, this is check out the free. So let's just call it laundry app. Oh, laundry now. Keeping laundry simple. Okay. So we can scroll down a little bit and let's see if we can play with the background star. Create a more, so this, for some people, they like that you have the option to have kind of like a bulk or like a 3D dimension. So when it shows up in app form or on mobile, it's really good. So we're not going to play around with that piece. So let's just change a couple of these. I'm not going to rotate the angle. I don't want to make it super weird. So that's the conditional aspect and the transition. Select a new property to define a new transition. Let's see, maybe let's change with font size, font color, word spacing. Let's see if it changes. And we'll see how the transition does when it previews. Okay, so more functionality, better design. So I double clicked left when I wanted to like actually change this. This will bring up this box and we can play around with this even more. So, actually, clean, easy, fun. So we can just like pretend that's our special go-to line. Let's see if we can change. The style is a flat color. I don't feel like the flat color is good. We don't want it the same. Maybe let's change here. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So here's a cool button. So we just double click on the button. Let's see if we want to see what the button says that's different. So that's the appearance of it. Let's see if we can change the words in here. Click now. It may or may not change. Oh, it's saying a double word there. We don't want another word there. The check now is good. Okay, so let's just go down. So we double click here. We're able to change this picture. So we can just add like another picture. It won't be a picture of myself, but it'll be like a stock photo of sorts. I feel like this one is a good one. Let's see, we're uploading your image. Awesome. So it was able to change that stock photo to coffee. Relax and let us do the work. So baby, again, like this is saying that. So this tells kind of like a story in a narrative. So maybe we can say laundry became too much for me. Now I'm able to have more time for my family. Okay. So again, we just playing around with the functions. So you will find in here, and again, I'm not going to use the complete delete app, but you'll find down in this section, some of these you really don't need, right? They won't be a good functionality for your tool. So it's good to just be able to just like delete those. So you can delete the whole parent group by just clicking right and delete. So of course down here you have your footer, you can change that. So let's go over to some of these and see what happens if we just add them over here. And they may look clunky, they may not look so great, but let's see if we want to add a video. So you will have the video tool, you have the ID. It just really breaks it down to like all the stuff you want to put in there. If you want to delete it, you can hit delete, on your regular laptop. And yeah, you have a ton of things. You want to add a link, you can add a link. You want to add an icon, a button, any kind of button, a certain text. You can change the style. So it's a lot of things that you can do to kind of edit. You can apply another theme. So maybe we'll change to this orange. And then let's go back and see if it actually changes the color. It didn't change much of the color. It kind of added some funky stuff. So yeah, so you can delete, you can add that new style on there. So it wasn't like the most interesting, but so yeah, so I'm excited to hear from you guys. I feel like I've talked a ton. Are there any questions I can ask you? We're not completely done. We'll go back to the app, but I would love to hear from you on questions you may have. And without any questions, I'll definitely go back into the app. But I would love to hear any questions you have about bubble.io or any questions you have about like the whole process of building an app without code, or any success stories you want to hear, anything else you want to hear about, the whys behind it. Again, I love the functionality of bubble.io because it allows you to really like poke around a lot, play around with different functions. But if I'm honest, if you're not, so what's something I think that bubble.io can improve on? Honestly, I think they can improve on their marketing a bit. The actual site itself. So while I'm answering that, Alicia, thank you for that question. I'll go back into it. I personally think that they don't talk about themselves enough, because I feel like if they did, they would really like I feel like bubble.io, and maybe this is just them growing and scaling differently and even changing their platform. I feel like they can really improve on showing up in the no code, low code space as like the authority, and really giving people the opportunity to build, like show their success, through even the website Apps Without Code, and the CEO of Apps Without Code is a woman of color. I really feel like she was able to like almost be like the spokesperson for bubble.io in some ways, because she was able to show what you can do with it. I think because it's like, it can be a bit confusing unless you really go in and play around with it and do the tutorials. I feel like they can do a better job externally of showing, why do I even want to build an app without code, and this is the functionality. Maybe they have the enterprise clients, or maybe they have, because there are people who actually like will build your app for you in bubble.io. So the other good thing about learning bubble.io, like at this level, and learning how to play around with the functionalities and build and change and everything, is that when you hire someone to build your prototype, or when you hire someone to build your first app, you actually know what goes into it. You'll know how to change things. You'll know the questions to ask. You'll know the wording and the functionality. Sometimes it's not just about you going in there and being the person who does it yourself. It's the why and the how you can make money from it, and how you can like be able to engage users, and like what your goals are. So to answer your question, I feel like they can do a better job marketing wise, connecting people to why they will want to do this, especially if someone is like more of the business side of the startup founder than they are, an actual like coder or a developer or a non-coder or UX designer. I love this because it shows the UX design, the sleekness. I can play around with the buttons. I am also, a content writer and like aspiring content designer. So even me putting those words there were for a reason. That coffee cup, like whatever picture I would have put there would have gone with these words. There is science behind everything that you see on this screen, right? That's why we all in tech, we love the science of it all. I feel like bubble.io can do a much better job of that. So, of talking about their marketing. So is one of the questions for me, okay. Okay, NFTs. I know. Mac is come on. And NFTs are not my ministry, but thank you for that. Like, who knows? Like, there's something, I'm sure, a connection between the two. Thank you, Jennifer, for asking about that. I know NFTs, not my ministry yet, but by the time I get done with Max Replay, I will probably be an expert, So thank you, Mac, for that, for answering that question. Any other questions? If not, I would look forward to just like, really hearing more also about brainstorming what you can create with bubble.io. I would love that.
All right, cool. Like, so this is super dope.
That's me. I made that. I made that on the app. I made that on the app. I made that on Tune Me.
Did you?
I
Did
made
you?
that myself. Yeah.
It looks just like you. It's amazing. So it's amazing. So like I think the takeaway here is really around like really what I wanted you to do, and you hit it. It was like let's introducing people to like Bubble IO, right? And
Mhm.
people probably heard about it. They probably they hear some mumblings of what it does or how it works. So I think you did a great job like explaining that to folks. And I think people are just trying to. I think from people I talk to are just trying to wrap their head around where does this fit in my set of tools that I have. So let me ask you this real quickly. Like do you like I know you said you're part of this community of like no code apps and things of that nature. Is there any trends or anything that like people are like talking about that they're excited about in this particular space? Because it is kind of its own movement, you know what I mean, like this whole no
It's
code no app
yeah.
movement.
It's his
So
own movement. I'm going to tell you now. I think what I was trying to hint to you guys is you need to just go ahead and start your own business and have your business be connected to an app. And when I say that, like you have these, like, I think it's Circle, Mighty Works, they will get you on their platform to take your followers. But if you have followers from social media, and we all know how that's going, it might not be social media as we knew it in the past with Web3. So I really say if you have at least, I don't know, any 2,500 followers, think about that secret sauce, that thing that they love from you or from your content or from your skill set, and create an app without code and pull them to that and charge them for it. Like I said, $35, $49 a month, something to bring the community together, solutions. We all have an app idea in us.
yeah, so you're basically saying, hey, let's take, if you have some like type of following, social, or maybe it's some other non-social following. I don't know who has any other following these days. I think everything's social. But basically, how can you take that, find a gap in whatever the solution is, or wherever you're doing, and then create an app around it, and then you then kind of build a business around that. And you can do that now with kind of no code, low code solutions. I love it. I love it. Cause entrepreneur. Um, any other questions? Let's see. Anybody else have any other questions? If not, man, this has been great. Awesome. It gives us back a little bit of time because we were running a little bit behind time. This is great. So let me just make sure if no other questions, thank you so much. I
No
appreciate it.
problem. No problem. I'm willing to stay on and talk and hang out. Anyone else has any questions about my background or how I got into tech, anything else, I have no problem with giving you your time back, but want to make sure you feel comfortable about just the bubble.io. I think if one thing I can stress about technology of any kind, websites, anything, take your time and spend time with it. Sometimes we are so quick to just want the quick answer, but I think if you go through it, you will start to feel even more comfortable about building based on like the opportunity to just take time and spend time with it. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Solid facts. All right. I appreciate it. Take care, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.